So if you've been thinking about starting your own recruiting business, but you haven't yet pulled the trigger because maybe you don't know where to start, how to pick a niche, how to get new clients, or how to run the recruiting business part-time on the side while you keep your day job, then this video might be the one that helps you unlock the path forward to your goals of probably wanting to earn more money, have more time, and enjoy the freedom and control that comes with running your own boutique recruiting business. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through a few things. How to decide if starting a recruiting business is actually right for you, how to target companies that depend on independent recruiters to grow, and the best time of year to get new clients for your recruiting business. What helped me decide if running a recruiting business was right for me was something called the rocking chair test. This is an exercise I did when I got laid off from my last recruiting job. I was at a recruiting agency. They laid off my entire division. I was really at the fork in the road. Like, what should I do with my life? Should I go back and just get another recruiting job, just go back in the job market? Or do I take this opportunity to actually bet on myself, to branch out on my own, like I've been thinking about and talking about for years and years? And the rocking chair test is kind of like what it sounds like is you picture yourself in your 80s, later on in your life, your golden years, sitting back in the rocking chair and reflecting on your life. And you look back and think to yourself and ask yourself, would I have regretted not making that decision? So what I did was I just sat down, I think it was at a park bench in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. I sat down on the park bench and I just thought to myself, okay, if I were in my 80s and I looked back, would I regret not betting on myself? Could I have made it on my own? Could I have been one of those like top billers, those $1 million billers that run their own agency and had the success? And for me, that answered my question. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go scratch that itch and just go for it. Like, what's the worst case scenario, right? I give myself a few months. I try it. If it doesn't work out, I can just go back and get a job. So I gave myself 90 days to do this. And I, had some initial success, and that 90 days turned to 5 years and of running my own agency before I sold it. And I just hadn't looked back since. Another thing to reflect on that I did was the cost of not starting your own recruiting business. Like, what's the price you're paying by not going out on your own? For agency recruiters, this is super easy because if you are a recruiter at an agency, just compare what you bill for your agency with what you take home in your paycheck. What really hits agency recruiters, they realize, oh shoot, I made my agency $500,000 per year from my billings, from my hard work, from all the candidates I've placed. And I took home like $100,000. $400,000 per year is the price that they're paying every single year because they just don't know how to start their own recruiting business or they just haven't made that leap. For corporate recruiters, let's say you filled 6 roles per month and the average salary is, let's just say for a simple math, $100,000. So you filled 6 roles at $100,000. Now, you know by now that recruiting agencies charge 20% of their candidates' first year base salary. So 20% of $100,000 is $20,000. That's 6 times $20,000 or $120,000 in fees that you would have earned if you had your own recruiting business. Because obviously, if you have your own recruiting business, you keep 100% of the fees that you earn. They would have earned their annual salary in 1 month had they just placed those candidates for their own private clients. And for a lot of non-recruiters who are looking at recruiting, they tend to identify as people persons, as natural connectors. And they'll tell me, yeah, John, I'm always connecting people in my network. And people are always reaching out to me when they're looking for a job. They reach out to me if they're looking to hire someone. And I've made tons of introductions, and some of those actually ended up with them getting hired. Then they realize, wait a second, I just did like a $20,000 favor for that hiring manager. If you've ever helped someone get one job, you probably walked away from $20,000 or more because that's what a recruiter would charge that company for the exact same service that you generously gave away. The big thing is you don't have to go all in. I never, ever recommend to a recruiter to just quit your day job and go all in and hope that you can start making money before your bills stack up, right? It's way too risky. The best way to start is by keeping your recruiting job and on the side, spinning up your own independent recruiting business, doing it under the radar, and really doing it in what we call incognito mode. So that way it separates your 9-to-5 job from your recruiting business, and the two worlds should never come close to colliding. And that way you can ultimately sleep well at night knowing that you're not stepping on anyone's toes, you're not triggering any possible non-compete or conflict of interest, and it's all above board and ethical. And there's ways to do that. I talk about that in my other videos. I talk about that on my 4-step process video on my website you can check out. But yeah, you can do this without going all in like I did. All right, next thing is let's talk about how to target companies that depend on independent recruiters. They depend on recruiting businesses to actually grow their teams. Think of it as a spectrum, right? Where on one end you have these bootstrap startups, and on the other hand you have like Fortune 500 corporations. You really don't want to play on either extreme, because if you target really scrappy startups, the pro is that you can definitely get a hold of the decision maker, the founder, the CEO really easily. But the con is that, one, they might not be hiring. Two, if they are growing, they probably can't afford your full fees. And even if you do business with them, it might be a thing where they hire from you once and they never hire from you again. That's the kind of pitfall of targeting companies that are too small. But you don't want to target companies that are too large either, because like when I worked at Google as an internal recruiter, Google had an army of in-house recruiters specializing in different areas. I had my little pod and my team. And so imagine like if you're an independent recruiter trying to work with Google, like it's hard to offer value to a company that already has an army of corporate recruiters working for them because they can afford it. So you really want to kind of target the Goldilocks right in the middle, which is small to medium-sized companies. They probably have like one HR manager who's doing all the jobs, right? They're wearing all the hats, doing all the HR stuff, including growing the company, right? They're tasked to hire. So what they do is they're just posting jobs on LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, wherever they can post the jobs. And they're just hoping that the perfect candidate applies. You probably can imagine that rarely ever happens. The best candidates probably haven't even updated their resumes in years. They haven't had to. They've been employed gainfully. They're heads down working. They're well rewarded. They're well compensated. And they really are not on the market at all. Like they're not even looking to apply. As long as companies are competing with each other for the very best talent, there's always going to be a demand for recruiters to help them find that talent. After months and months of role being open, they're like, we give up. Let's throw money at the problem, hire a professional headhunter to find us the right people, just deliver them on a silver platter and get this role filled. Because the longer the role goes unfilled, the more problem it causes for the company. So that's kind of where we should target small to medium-sized companies that are experiencing tons of hiring pain. And so they rely on agency recruiters to really deliver the premium candidates, which is why we get paid the big bucks, the premium fees, because these people are not always easy to find. A very last topic I want to touch on that might help you decide when you want to start your recruiting business is that there's two main hiring seasons. All the hiring managers are back from vacation. The hiring budget's been renewed. All the headcount's been predetermined, and growth is top of mind for all companies. So January is the best time to get new clients, as well as September will be like the second best time. September, they're just coming out of the summer, same reasons, right? They want to have an end of year push for growth, and hiring is top of mind. If January is the best time to get new clients and strike while iron's hot, ideally, in January, you want to be having follow-up conversations with hiring managers that you probably talked to initially in December, which means in December, you probably want to be reaching out and having some back and forth LinkedIn messages with companies who are hiring, which means that by November, you want to have everything dialed in. You're reaching out to hiring managers. Your LinkedIn profile is optimized, your company page, your website, your niche. You know exactly what to send. You have automations going out and targeting prospective clients at scale. You have all those things figured out, all your marketing, personal branding, your niche, your reach out messages, your follow-up messages, all your systems all dialed in by November. So typically, if you want to target January as your time to get new clients, November, December is when you want to be ramping up. So that way you don't miss out on the window. If you launch in January, not the end of the world, but by the time you figure everything out, it might be March and you'll kind of miss out on the best time. Hope that timing helps you understand when it is to get new clients. I know we talked about in this video, how to decide if this is right for you with a rocking chair test. So do that exercise, take 5 or 10 minutes. I think it would help give you clarity about whether or not you would have FOMO. And if you don't, that's okay. But if you're like me and you decide that you would regret not betting on yourself. You would always wonder, what if I did? Could I have made it? Then that's your answer. And then we talked about which companies to target, those small to medium-sized companies, and taking advantage of the seasons, and January, September being the best times to get clients. Again, worst times to figure this out, and make sure that you at least 2 or 3 months prior have everything dialed in. Of course, if you need help with any of that stuff, we do help our clients. We have private clients that we implement all these processes for them. We help optimize their niche, set up their go-to-market strategy. Our design team builds and optimizes all your LinkedIn profile, company pages. We write the copy for your website. We set up all your marketing, all the automations, all the follow-up messages, all the targeting. We do all of that done for you for our clients. So if you want more of a white glove concierge service, then we do offer that. Feel free to check out our website. There's more information about how we can help. But anyways, thanks for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you've gotten value, please consider subscribing so that way you don't miss out on my next training video. And again, feel free to check out the training video on my website. It's called the 4-step process, where it breaks down the 4 steps that any person needs to take to really set up their own recruiting business, get new clients, and doing it part-time on the side in incognito mode. So, all right, again, thanks for your time. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.